everyone, this is Renee Barham Gordon, your friendly regulated Canadian immigration consultant from Mia Immigration Consulting Inc., making every interaction admirable. So we're starting off with some great news. Yesterday, July 8th, the Immigration and Refugee Citizenship Canada extended an invitation to apply to 3,900 foreign nationals for permanent residency in the express entry pool. Now, the good news about this is that since March this year, since the whole COVID pandemic and all of that's been happening, invitation to apply was only sent out for the provincial nominee programs and for the Canadian Experience class. However, for the draw that took place yesterday, individuals or candidates in the pool, in the express entry pool, with a CRS score of 478 and who were in the pool as at February 11, the tiebreaker rule was used. Those individuals were given an invitation to apply for permanent residency. So that's wonderful news. So that included persons not only in the provincial nominee program candidates and not only persons who are a part of the Canadian Experience class, but it also included individuals from the Federal Skilled Worker program and the Federal Skilled Trade program. So that's wonderful news. So congratulations, guys, all 3,900 of you. Congratulations and welcome to Canada. And feel free to contact us here at Mia for the rest of your journey, okay? Before I continue, guys, please take the opportunity to like, subscribe, share, okay? So here we go. We're going to be discussing today about permanent residency, who a permanent resident is, what are the benefits of being a permanent resident, and how you can go about losing your permanent resident status. So for those individuals who received their invitation to apply yesterday, this video may be useful to you, okay? So who is a permanent resident? A permanent resident is a foreign national, not a Canadian citizen, okay? So to be specific, a permanent resident is a foreign national that has been given permanent resident status by the Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada. All right, that's the first thing. How does one become a permanent resident? How do they get this status? They first have to be qualified or eligible for one of the several programs that are available. They may be federal programs or provincial programs. You can also become a permanent resident through sponsorship, right? You can be sponsored by a spouse, by a child, by a grandchild. You can be sponsored as well as, say, a family member. But then we'll get into that, because if they're not a spouse, a child, or grandchild, it may be a bit technical, but yes, you can be sponsored in that regard. So again, through sponsorship or through one of the several programs that are available at the provincial level or at the federal level. Now, when you become a permanent resident, what does it entail? What do you need to do? Before we go into that, I'm just telling you, a permanent resident will be issued a permanent resident visa. Just in our previous video where we discussed the temporary resident visa being a counterfoil, you are issued a permanent resident visa, which is also a counterfoil that's placed in your passport. This is usually valid up to a year after your medical. So if you're applying for permanent residency, you likely have to do a medical, and your medical expires within a year, right? So if it is you are being processed within that year to become a permanent resident, your permanent resident visa will be expired as at your expiration date for your medical. This technically means that you have to land in Canada by that day if you're if you're not in Canada, or if you're already in Canada, you would have to go to a port of entry to acknowledge that yes, you are now starting your permanent residency process. After that, your PR card will be sent to you and the works, right? But do you have to maintain your permanent resident status? Yes, you do. In order to maintain your permanent resident status, one of the main things is that you have to meet your residency obligations. In meeting your residency obligations, you need to be in Canada at least 730 days out of a 5-year period, right? So that's technically 2 years. You have to be in Canada 2 years out of a 5-year period. Now, this doesn't have to be consecutively. You can come 6 months, leave a month, leave, so forth, so fifth within a 5-year period. But you have to maintain that 2 years or 730 days rather out of a 5-year period. So that's the main thing basically you would need to do, right? What are the benefits of being a permanent resident? One of some of the main benefits are that you are eligible for most social benefits and health benefits just as a Canadian citizen. So you're able to receive those benefits, right? You're able to live and work in any province of your choice. Again, I always say except for Quebec. So it depends on what how you became a permanent resident. You may not be able to reside in Quebec. So that's just an exemption. And another benefit, which I think is the greatest benefit, is being able to apply for citizenship when you become a permanent resident after meeting your residency obligations. So for permanent residency obligations, you have to be in Canada, say roughly 2 years out of a 5-year period, 730 days out of a 5-year period. However, to be able to apply for citizenship, you have to be in Canada 1,095 days out of a 5-year period. So that's roughly 3 years out of a 5-year period in order to apply for citizenship. All right. And then to finish off, we're just going to discuss how can you lose your permanent resident status. Most people don't want to lose their permanent resident status, but it does happen. So I'm just informing you. One, you can renounce your permanent resident status. So you can say to IRCC, hey, I no longer want to be a permanent resident of Canada or a PR of Canada, so I'm renouncing my status. It can be that a claim was denied. So let us say you applied for something. Maybe you applied for refugee status and your claim was denied, or you applied for something else and an inquiry was done and you are now found inadmissible. At this point, you cease becoming you cease being a permanent resident. Okay, another reason or another way you can actually lose your permanent residency status is by not meeting your residency obligation. So that 2 out of 5-year period, yes, if you don't meet that, you can lose your permanent resident status. You're likely going to lose it. You may have to appeal and all of that, but yes, not meeting your residency obligation is grounds for losing your PR status. And another one, a removal order is issued against you. So let's say something happened, a removal order, you were told to leave Canada by a certain time, that will also cease your permanent resident status. And guess what? Last but definitely not least, it's actually the best way to lose your permanent resident status is becoming a citizen. The day you take your oath to become a Canadian citizen, you automatically stop being a permanent resident. So I guess that's the best way anyone would want to lose their permanent resident status. So that's it for us, guys. Thanks for joining. If it's your first time, I hope this video has been useful to you. Remember to subscribe, remember to like, remember to share. All the information is at the bottom of our screen. Feel free to contact us at info@miaimmigration.com or you can send us your messages here. We will respond to them accordingly. Okay, so thank you. While here at Mia, we continue making every interaction admirable.